Okay, howdy folks. Welcome to another SEO diatribe with Josh Bachynski. That's me. I have just 2 pages left of old stuff from the 15th of March and the 25th of March to get through. A lot of still very interesting things were leaked at that time. Well, I've got to fix my hair. Got to make sure I look good. There we go. All right. Well, look as good as I possibly can, which is not that good. So yeah, I want to get through this stuff if at all possible. There's been some really interesting leaks, and then just some mind-blowing leaks from April have already come out. So I want to hurry up and get to those. So I'm going to try and push through and get through as much as possible. So I apologize if I'm boring any of you, and maybe some of you are using this video as, I don't know, some kind of way to go to sleep or something, to fall asleep. So maybe I'll sing you a lullaby later if you're lucky. All right, load of SEO. Okay. So the first thing is, on the 15th of March, John Mueller and Maria had a hangout. And I already told you some stuff that happened there. Here's the rest that happened, and some of it was quite interesting. So the first thing is, someone asked an excellent question. You know how they have the not set and the not provided in Google Analytics? Whether people are either logged in to a Google product and then go to a website, and so their keyword data is filtered out so Google can make more money through AdWords. And, I mean, for some security reason or something, they said. And also not provided is from Firefox. Firefox will also obscure the referrer data as well, because Google funds lots of money to Firefox. I mean, for security reasons as well. So, the question was, so how can we get this data back? It's filtered out of analytics, but is it filtered out of Webmaster Tools? And a long, very convoluted answer from Maria, with a very bemused-looking John Mueller, who is waiting, like Yoda, waiting for her Jedi SEO truth to come out, or something like that. The long answer, the shorter answer of the long-winded thing, this is getting long-winded on my part as well. The shorter answer is, yes, the not provided data is provided over time in Webmaster Tools. So that data is not filtered out of Webmaster Tools. It's aggregated, however, in a way that you can't drill down on and then find out where they live and who they are and what their IP address is and whatnot. So that data is safe from a security perspective to keep in, and also fairly useless in a conversion sense. Why is it? So anyway, so it's still in there, so you can still use it. So great, you can still get access to that data according to Google through Webmaster Tools. And if you want the really useful part of Webmaster Tools search query data, go into search queries and click top pages, and that will show you your top pages and what they rank for and what your click-through rate is. And then you can try and change that click-through rate. That's probably the best part of Webmaster Tools there is. Okay, donezo. Check mark. All right. Next one. They mentioned something I thought was interesting in that hangout, that Google is having an easier time finding content spam than they are finding link spam. They find content spam faster than link spam. So this is interesting for a number of reasons. One, it corresponds to my experiments I've been running, so that's always nice to have independent verification from Google on stuff like that. The other thing is, make sure not to have your link spam on content spam. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but just in the way Google works, they find content spam faster than they find link spam. So make sure that if you're doing black hat SEO and you're putting link spam out there, don't put it on content spam. Try and put it on the best content possible, quality content that they're probably not going to find, or you hope they're not going to find. The idea is they're not going to find it because it's not crap, spun content. And if you want to know how easily Google can find spun content, have I got an experiment for you? My next Mastering Google video series, which I hope to make this weekend, or maybe the next weekend, depending on how much kombucha I drink, is on that topic and another very interesting topic, which segues me directly to, not yet, later on in the movie, this video, it'll segue me to user metrics. So I have an experiment coming up. My next Mastering Google video is on spam, link, and spun content detection and user metrics and how it affects ranking. Okay, so don't put your link spam on content spam. It'll be found all that much faster and easier. Okay, next. All right, at about 38 minutes into that hangout on the 15th of March, Maria implies that penalized sites still need positive growth, else they will be detected as a penalized site. Now, it's interesting. Bill Slosky showed us months ago, like 4, 5, 6, 8 months ago, that there was a patent already released to that effect, a patent released by Google, that they can detect, they'll penalize a site, and then they'll go through a really solid period of analysis of what do they do when we penalize it. Do they stop building links? Do they stop making content? Do all these links suddenly disappear, like this paid links thing? I think that could be part of the way how they found that big UK flower site that got hit recently. Because if you take a look at Ahrefs, their links just suddenly go down like that. In September, months before they were even penalized. They might have already been in suspicion and being watched severely. So, penalized sites still need a positive growth because the idea is that people love your site and people keep making links to it, regardless of what Google is doing in the background. Of course, if they penalize you to oblivion, right? If it's like a waterfall, your traffic is like that, pow. That can happen from Panda, that can happen from Penguin. That can happen from a manual action, that kind of waterfall effect you see in the traffic. Clearly, they're not going to be as much positive growth at that point because no one's finding you anymore, so no one's going to be building links to you. But it was still said that, I think this was said in the context of trying to fix it. Don't just worry about the links only and try to fix only that. You have to have positive growth. You have to keep improving the content, keep making things better, and you can improve things. Even if your links are holding you back, or your Penguin's holding you back or something like that, you can improve things all around. Because in their eyes, and this is what Mueller said, not in this hangout, but in previous hangouts, many hangouts, he said it, that he sees that most sites that are hit by, say, Penguin, they are also hit by Panda, right? If they have kind of crap links, they also probably, statistically, haven't been paying that close attention to their content or their user metrics either. So they suffer from that kind of a thing. So, still need positive growth. All right. Go to sleep, Lord of SEO, go to sleep. I will send you SEO juice. Okay, the next one is, okay, so if you're wondering, oh, I messed my hair up again. So if you're wondering, do you see that waterfall effect in your analytics? Clearly there's some kind of Google penalty that hit you. You check the normal things, you check if you're 404ing, you check if your servers give you an error message, you check if your robot text file has been, it has a 500 series error. By the way, here's a little leak from Google that they leaked months ago that I've been keeping to myself because I want to manipulate it. But I'm just too lazy, I don't have time, quite frankly, so I'll let you guys know. Here's a big secret. If your robot text is serving a 500 server level error, one of those series, HTTP status 500 level error, they will stop crawling your site. Woo! Yeah, so if you have access to somebody's site and they're ticking you off and they're not paying you or something, then just change it. There's their Apache configuration, so the robot text will serve a 500 level error instead, and Google will stop crawling the site because they can't get access to the robot text. How about that for a leak? Yeah, so there you go, and watch how long it takes them to find that, right? That's a very obscure thing. It would take a very long time for them to find it. Of course, I would check right away because I'm me. But and I've been doing this for a little bit of time. But yeah, it would take them forever to find it. So, by the way, if you've had an Anchor contractor, check your Webmaster Tools if they've had access to that, and also you could check the robot text, see if it's serving a 500 level error. All you have to do is just load up Firebug in Firefox, press F12 so it comes up, go to Net, go to Clear, and click Persist, so it'll persist and it'll give you all the header information, and then just load your website with /robot.txt and see what it comes up. If it comes up with a 200, you're fine. If it comes up with a 404, that's fine. If it's not there. If it comes up with a 301, that's weird. I don't know why we do that. If it comes up with a 500 level error, that could be a reason why Google is no longer crawling your site, and that'll freeze your rankings. I hypothesize that will freeze your rankings in some regard for a while, but eventually Mueller says that they will just drop the site because they think there's something wrong with it. At least this is what he says. I've never tried it. Someone try it. Tell me maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I don't know. I don't know anything. Okay, so here's the next issue. Are you in Webmaster Tools hell? Have you been sending reconsideration request after reconsideration request, and they just give you a generic message saying something is wrong, you suck, we hate you, we will not let your penalty go, or whatever, the generic one, you know what I'm talking about. So we asked them, John Mueller, why? Why is it that Google keeps sending this again and again and again and again? And Mr. Mueller was kind enough to respond and say that they send a generic message, and I quote, when they have a lot of generic things they can't point out easily, end quote. And then he also said that it's all generic spam or really low quality stuff, end quote. So that means when they're sending you the generic message again and again and again, it is, I quote, very bad, end quote. So that means, so they seem to have it at a number of levels. I've also seen it, and John Mueller has also confirmed, that if you send it in a reconsideration request, and they don't send you any message back, then they think your site shouldn't even be on the internet. They think your site is beyond saving. You might consider just starting again with a new domain at that point. And if they keep sending the generic message back, then there's too much stuff wrong in too many different areas. That's the upshot of this one. That's a takeaway from this leak. That means that there's too much wrong in too many different areas. So it's not just your user metric, it's not just your content, it's not just garbage content, it's not just dupe content, it's not just bad backlinks, it's maybe not just cloaking here or hidden keyword over-optimization stuffing there. It's some combination of all those things. So stop being in a silo and look at all the different messages. Which, that does directly segue me into, oh no, sorry, it doesn't. Sorry, false alarm again. It does segue me into something completely different, however. And this is this. The point I was going to make before was too many people are thinking of SEO in the 2005 mindset, where if you just throw enough links at it, it'll rank. It does not work that way anymore, period. It especially does not work that way anymore for particular niches and particular search queries and particular types of sites, commercial sites, and very high competition areas. And not even really for the other stuff. Local, of course, you need local signals. Links are almost secondary or tertiary at that point. The problem is this, is that Google wants independent verification across the board from different areas. They want different signals from different areas to confirm independently that this site is a quality site, that people are enjoying it, that the recommendations they have to it can be trusted from either social and or the web abroad. So that's what I thought I was going to be moving on to, but I moved on to it anyway. And I know I said this last time, which is why I didn't have it on my list, but I'll say it again, is that you have to stop thinking of SEO in a silo. You don't want just 80 million check marks in the link box. You want a check mark in that you have some links, you have some social, you have good on-page content, you have good user metrics, the click-through rate on your titles are good, people like the site, people on social are talking about it. You need different check marks across the board. That is how you get ranking at this point, with some extra other little tricks, such as exact match query in the URL string. Not necessarily the domain name, it could be the subdomain, it could be the directory path, it could be the page, in that order. No, sorry, page is probably better than directory. And, yeah, stuff like that. So, yeah, so that's kind of how SEO is working these days. It's not 2005 anymore. I know everyone else has said that, but I wanted to give those specifics so you know exactly what I mean by that. Okay, here's the next thing I wanted to mention. Speaking of it not being 2005, stop, please stop the what kind of guarantee can you give me that you will get me to rank? You have to stop the pay as you rank. I am not saying this because I'm an SEO and I can't guarantee anything, which, by the way, I really can't, right? One, ranking reports are extremely hard to provide, never mind, are entirely useless when you factor in personalization and geolocation. Two, every single niche that is worth competing in is spammed all to hell, so it's very difficult to compete in a lot of these areas. It's going to take a fairly long time to rank. How long that is, I have no idea. Three, you do realize that anyone who's willing to take you up on a a guarantee kind of scenario where you only pay them if they get you onto page 1 after 6 months, something like that, you realize they're either incompetent, they have no idea how long it'll take to rank, or they're a complete wizard and beyond my knowledge and have some secret WordPress plugin with 5 million installations that they can just stick a link on there and get it to rank. Fine, granted. There are definitely those scenarios. Those are short-term, of course. Google will find those. Google has been finding those. Google will find those. That's short-term only. But if you only have a short-term business plan, then by all means, if you can find such a person and can pay their fee. So ignoring scenarios like that, where there's a clear loophole that Google is going to be fixing. They've been trying to fix for a year. They know about it. It's just a matter of time. Like, everyone knows it's a matter of time. So ignore those loopholes. If they think they can rank you within 6 months without even looking at the query space, or they're willing to give you a guarantee like that, then either they're incompetent or you are, because they're not even going to tell you about personalization. They're going to tell you to search it every day, and you'll see, and then finally it'll be there because you've clicked through and personalization is ranking there for you and you only, right? Or that's some such thing like that. Lynches. Or they take on so many clients. So this is the main reason why I say not to do this. I mean, sure, I can give you a guarantee I can get you on page 1 within 6 or 9 months after I look at the query space or something like that. Maybe not spot 1. That is totally determined by usage metrics, right? Especially if you're not willing to listen to me about when I say you need to get a better site and have better pages which are better enjoyed. Because that is a huge component of how things are ranking these days. It's not just about throwing links at it anymore. There's just too many different silos you need to have a check mark in. But here's the problem, is that anyone who's willing to take on an offer like that, you realize that they're going to scam you, right? Think of it from their perspective. There's too much of a risk in my time for me to say, sure, I'll work under some guarantee that I can get you onto spot 1 within 6 months. In order to make that economically feasible for myself, I have to take on 100 to 500 clients under that paradigm, and then throw the crappiest, most automatic links and most automatic signals at the site, and hope that 10 or 20% of it sticks so I can get paid for 10 or 20% of it. The other 80%, they all get nothing. They get either devalued links and their increased chance of a manual penalty and or an algorithmic penalty. And so too to the 10 or 20% that I managed to get ranking, you promised you'd pay me when you got there. I didn't promise how long it was going to stick, right? Or they're using 301 link juice like that, right? They just change their huge bank of 301s over, throws the link juice at you, which actually doesn't really work that well anymore because Google implemented a fix for that. So, the guaranteed pay if you rank kind of scenario really does not work so well anymore. SEO is not a grade 7 level education kind of just throw links at it kind of a repetitive task anymore. It's much more holistic, much closer to branding, to content strategy, to marketing, and requires someone who really has experience and really can think about holistically how to make your entire web experience better, so that you will get more traffic, rank better, and get better conversion and better buy-in kind of across the board. So I said it was SEO diatribes, didn't I? So that's one of my many rants for today, is that you're really not doing yourself any favors. And if you get anyone to take you up on the offer of the guarantee, either they don't really know what they're doing, there's some wizard that's doing some kind of risky, in my opinion, extremely risky practice that probably is going to get caught and penalize your site. So if you have a short-term strategy, by all means, go ahead. Or if you have no other choice, because it's a very competitive query space, by all means, go ahead. But that's not a long-term strategy, right? And or they're just taking you on. They're taking on 300 or 400 of you, and they're off somewhere in Timbuktu. No offense to Timbuktu, I'm sure it's a wonderful place, but they're somewhere just cranking out as many links as they can, as crappy and as fast as possible, and then just statistically 10 or 20% of them won't get caught in the time frame it takes for them to rank it and get paid. That's the only way they can economically feasibly do it. there's no way that with all the clients I have who are paying me, I could take that much time to rank that many people on some kind of guarantee. I do have some speculative work I do, but I've chosen those very specifically because I'm pretty sure that I can get something going there and that the return is going to be there for me. So that is one of my more philosophical rants for today. Okay, so that's the 15th. Now, finally, we get to the 25th of March. Now, there was even more interesting tidbits released at that time. So let me get to it. Okay, so the first one on the 25th of March with Mr. Mueller. Someone asked, is user experience important? And the resounding answer, as I've been saying, and as he's been saying for months now, was yes, user experience is important as a direct ranking signal. It works in a number of different ways. In the long run, it affects rankings, quote unquote. In the long run, it'll affect rankings after they amalgamate all those signals, right, of how well they can tell people are enjoying your site, which you only have half the data for. You have the data when they come to your site if you have some kind of analytics package installed. Of course, you don't know what they do when they go to the SERP. They click through to your site, they look around for a while, they go back to the SERP and click something else. You don't get to see that. But you can approximate the level of searcher satisfaction with your analytics data, right? All you do is go to the page content, sort it by landing pages, add in the keyword as a secondary dimension, and then filter on, get rid of the not set and not provided by going in advanced and excluding keywords with a parentheses. And then you click on average time on page, and then reverse sort so it's 0 at the top. Then you see a bunch of 0 time on page, or 1 second or 2 seconds on page, and like 100% bounce rate. And then you look at the keyword, what they looked for. And then you can make a pretty good educated guess, did they find the keyword on that page that they were looking for, that landing page? And then you can start trying to fix it like that. So, there's other factors, of course, that are important, such as page speed. He mentioned that page speed is also important. Page speed could be a reason why that they're bouncing so much that people don't like your site, or because it's too slow, or because they don't like the design, because they don't want to scroll down past your hero image or your huge banner ad to get the information they're looking for. And you might not be getting the best people to begin with because your title tag might not be very clearly labeled and telling them exactly what they're going to find on that page. This is SEO on page 101. Which is just as important now, in fact, even more important now than it's been in the last 7 years. All right. The next thing they mentioned is, by the way, if your page is not as good or better quality as your Google Plus page, they will replace your ranking with the Google Plus page. That's right. New and improved rankings from Google. They will replace your site with your crappy Google Plus page if your site is even crappier as detected by those metrics and other kind of metrics of the like that I just mentioned. Yes, so, by the way, it's wonderful if you connect your Google Plus to your website in that reciprocal link that they do through Webmaster Tools. Because if you have good Google Plus signals, good interaction there and whatnot, it's a ranking boost. It helps you rank. But if your Google Plus page is well used and people are loving it and people are on it and talking about it and stuff like that, and it is more, it's better used than your website, they just might start ranking the Google Plus page. So be careful about that. That was leaked to us from them on the 25th of March. Okay, so the next one. What do you do? So I have a very long-term and cherished client of mine who has a very, very large site. The site has probably up to 1 or 2 million items for sale on it. I'm not going to mention what niche he's in. Just let's say it's a high-profile items that sell for a couple thousand to tens or 20,000 bucks, and he sells lots of them, 1 million to 2 million of them. And so he has thousands of pages. They're only for sale for a few days, and usually they're purchased. And so he has a couple thousand, he has tens or 100,000 pages that are generated, and then 404 because the sale's complete. So the question is, what do you do if your URLs change often? How does Google process that signal information? What if you have really good metrics on these pages that are disappearing? Can they benefit your site? Can a well-liked page benefit your site if it's no longer there? The answer is no. So that's a problem there. If you have a site that changes URLs so often, clearly Google can't get a signal off it that people are really enjoying it. So if people hate it, it won't work. It won't work to your disadvantage because the page 404s, and so they can never really collect that kind of information, and then therefore demote those pages for certain queries because the page no longer exists. At the same time, however, they can't benefit you. They can't bubble you up for good usage either. So that's it's both a pro and a con. Usually those kind of scenarios, when the pages are changing so often, the users are not enjoying them, right? They're usually kind of crappy sales pages, but maybe they are. You never know. They're not like long-term evergreen information pages. So how do you handle that? Well, there's all different things you can do. Clearly, you need to have more permanent or semi-permanent pages that can accrue good usage metrics, good links, good social signals, well-labeled titles, good CTR click-through, so that those are some of the primary ranking signals that are going on right now, and then therefore Google can know about it, and just have time to go crawl it, right? Google may not even be able to come over and get it if it's only there for 2 or 3 days. Another thing you can do is use the sitemap. Now, some people try the sitemap, and Google never comes when they say they're going to read the sitemap, and so they kind of give up on it. Don't. A good 8 months ago, John Mueller did give us this leak that you can use a sitemap, and they will always honor the sitemap and follow it as long as you, and I quote, never lie. If you never lie in the sitemap, that is to say, your sitemap is always accurate, is always up to date, the pages are always updated exactly on the date you said they were updated. So basically, if you have a program to generate it out and it's always correct, they will, and this is verbatim from Google, they will always honor it, they will always use your sitemap. They'll crawl your sitemap daily, right? They'll update it daily, and then they'll know what pages to crawl, and your crawl rate will skyrocket, right? So you get way more pages crawled way faster. So if you have pages changing, within days or weeks, this is how you get them indexed, this is how you get them in there, at least get some signals for the time that it's there, right? And that'll also help for sites that don't have pages changing, but changing often enough, or adding to it often enough, like a blog or content site or something like that. If you never lie in your sitemap, apparently Google will always honor it and keep using it. Okay, now, I have no idea what this comment means. So keep sleeping, Lord of SEO. Don't worry. Don't wake up on my account. Okay. Another question is, how does the manual action work? A lot of people are kind of wondering, is it algorithmic? Is it totally done by hand? How is it done? Of course, the manual action is both algorithmic and done by a person. The algo finds when you're over a certain threshold, so this is Google telling us, the algo finds when you're over a certain threshold for various signals, usually suspect links, right? And although other things though too, cloaking and all those keyword stuffing and those kinds of things they used to, keyword hiding anyway, and like CSS hidden things and whatnot. And then so the algo finds it, it bubbles it up to the team, that's their word, bubbles it up to the team. And then a person analyzes the data and then clicks the button on a whole bunch of pages in their program, on a whole bunch of sites in their program, or actually goes and eyeballs the site and looks and tries to find what the algo find and then makes a judgment call whether it should be penalized or not. Of course, this recently happened apparently to the BBC, where they're only supposed to penalize, they're only supposed to devalue a link on a particular page, and instead they clicked the devalue the whole link tree or something like that, and managed to penalize a whole section of the BBC site. So it can happen. It does happen to brands when they wish to make an example of them. Of course, it happens to brands very rarely because brands have so much authority, so much link power, that they're virtually immune from all these kinds of effects. Okay, and so the last point I will make today. There was an extremely interesting test case that came out recently. I hope the site owners don't mind, but I'm not the one who outed them. They've already been outed publicly. So the site is geniusgeeks.com, GENIUSGEEKS.com. They were recently outed as a Panda victim on this Hangout, and I think in the Google forums as well. And so it was brought to John Mueller's attention. He went through it. He actually explained to us what was wrong with the site. So this is very interesting. So this is what he came up with. He says it was hit by Panda. It is, I quote, not the highest quality possible. So go look at the sites. You can see kind of what he's talking about. He says you have to make sure that people love it. Go through the 23 questions. These are the Panda issues. That's how I know it was a Panda that hit it. It was the Panda algorithm that hit it, because he said he only tells you to go through the 23 questions when it's been hit by Panda. He's done this numerous times for numerous sites. Other sites he just says, check this, the usage metrics, check that, check your backlinks. You know, he does diagnostically give his suggestions, so you can use them in a diagnostic fashion to differentiate between different algorithms and different effects that you need to fix. Other thing I noticed when I took a look at this site, it was pretty badly keyword stuffed. It was anywhere from 2.5 to 1.5% keyword stuffed on various pages. You know, I thought that was pretty bad. The language was pretty stilted when I read it. It sounded like they were wanting, you know, red apples is the example. Like, you get the best red apples here for our red apple site on the red apples, red apples, red apples. You know, it kind of sounded like that. So, you know, and my recent experiment that I'll be releasing fairly shortly kind of corresponds to that. That Panda looks for these kinds of keyword stuffing things. It looks for textual content, right? It looks for low-quality content. That is the very definition of spam content, of low-quality content. And he said, and I quote, watch how users react to this content and watch, quote-unquote, if they just leave. That's verbatim from John Mueller. So that tells you that the search retry bounce rate scenario certainly is a factor in Panda, which I've been saying and he's been saying for months. And it will derank you, or it will bubble you up if you're compared, because he also mentioned in the last Hangout or the Hangout before, that it is also relative to your competitors. So if all your competitors have terrible user experience, all you have to do is just have a slightly better user experience than they do. There is no objective metaphysical metric they're comparing you to kind of from on high. It is all relative, right? So what is that again? I'll tell you exactly what I think that is. Watch the other part of the video. I told you how to diagnose this by going to the content and, you know, filtering by keyword and whatnot. But basically, it's someone goes to the SERP, they click on your page, they go to your site, they look around, they're only there for like 5 seconds, they go back, they go down, they click on some other result. If that happens too much, if 90% of the traffic coming to your site, you know, like some large percentage like that, happens for the search red apples, you're not going to be ranking for red apples anymore. I don't care if you have redapples.com. I don't care if you have red apples in your title. It doesn't always work that way anymore. There's more signals on top of that. So, also, what I noticed on this site, this Panda victim that we can dissect, I noticed they had very bad grammar. Some of their pages were likely spun. So, again, that also corresponds to the experiment that I just ran. Panda is looking for that kind of stuff. Quality matters. And so, the upshot is Google does rank pages based on quality. It's something I told a couple clients recently. The easiest way to get Google to know that you have a great page is to have a great page. The best way to fake having a great site is to have a great site. Sure, we can entertain scenarios of hiring people with varied IP addresses all around the world. Get them to go to the SERP, click on it, go to your page, and then just leave or stay there for a while and leave and don't go back to the search. And I have not conducted these experiments yet, but depending on your traffic, you'd have to have a good high proportion of traffic, not only for your site, but the traffic of the entire query space, because it's relative, remember. You have to match or beat what your competitors are doing. So the easiest way to do that is, hey, just have a great site. Add content to it. On the articles that is above and beyond exceeding searcher satisfaction. It is there like, wow. Heck, you might even get some real donated generic links out of it. I know this fake thing that Google thinks happens these days. People would actually make a link on their blog. Who has a blog? But they think that people this actually happens. Of course, it doesn't anymore. And they're starting to realize this, and that's why they're factoring in social, because that's where people share stuff, is on social, right? They don't have blogs anymore, and if they do, they don't bother making links to anybody, because this is a paid commodity and it takes time and it's a pain in the butt. So, but it might actually happen. You at least get social share, right? If some like, wow, I went to this page about, you know, how to change a gasket on this thing, and it was hilarious. Look at this joke they have there, or wow, they had a really awesome animated GIF and interactive thing, and I could play around with it and it showed me how the gasket went on. Something that exceeds searcher satisfaction. So it was well labeled. It was exactly labeled to what they were going to get. They clicked through. They got it. They were dumbfounded how great it was. They certainly didn't go back and click for another result statistically. And heck, they maybe even shared it or showed it to somebody else because it was so ingenious. So that, folks, is how SEO is working in 2013, which I believe I've been saying since late 2012. And Lord of SEO, I hope you're having a good nap. And yeah, so that's my rant for today. Haha, I've gotten through all my backlog. Now I will get to the stuff that's been happening in April. Lots of awesome stuff's been happening in April. So, if you have any questions, you want to contact me, as always, my name is Josh Bachynski. My email is joshbachynski@gmail.com. That's JOSHBACHYNSKI. You can also find me at Twitter at Josh Bachynski, and you can also find me on YouTube at /JBachins, JBACHYNS. You can also connect with me on Google+, and everywhere, anywhere, I don't know, stuff. So, thanks very much, and good luck to you, and we'll see you in the SERPs. We'll see you next week with new stuff. Bye-bye.